You're pretty when I'm drunk.
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 And I'm pretty fucking drunk.
Guys, it's Tuesday, and so far the overwhelming vote is to put up the beer fiasco with me and Neil as one video, all 2 hours of it. So I will I'll do that as soon as possible. That, if you're not a Facebook friend, I wasn't on last night, mainly because Ms. Bomey, Christine, had her first full-blown post-thyroid cancer checkup, and everything was 100%. So she was in a good mood. She was very apprehensive about that, and decided to take her out to dinner. And sorry guys, I hung out with her and not you, or beer. I did have a Bloody Mary when we were out to dinner. The little place we went to has something called the Prairie Mary, and that's pretty tasty. Oh, for you people in Canada, that would be a Caesar. Look, it's old school. Just in case Ray watches, keeping it there. I said it was going to be a surprise, and well, I guess it is. This is something that Neil brought from a friend of his. This is actually his friend's brewery. It is White Flame, if memory serves. White Flame Brewing Company, Hudsonville, Michigan. This is their 2nd anniversary edition of something called Black Flame Imperial Stout, and this is 10.5% by volume, and it comes with the that's what the top looks like. So we gotta break into it. This break-in is presented by Crew Chief 01. Gave me this a few years ago, and I really wasn't a Spyderco fan, and I have to. No, it's actually wax. That's awesome. Wasn't actually a Spyderco fan, and I have to say this is one impressive knife. Sorry if I realized that this was going to be an ordeal in itself. I would have taken care of this before turning the camera on. My bad. Sorry. Politically, you know, same old BS is always. Personally, I'd like to see some of the Republicans, which is just another way of saying Democrats, would grow a set and, you know, actually stand up. Wow. Okay, this stuff is really on there. And Neil gets the last laugh. There. Just bust one little corner off and it'll all be okay. I just don't want this crap going down in the beer. That would be a beer pour fail. And something called Black Flame just seems right that we'd open it with this. Oh, just red crap all over the place. Hopefully it's still stuck good to the bottle and it won't, oops, sorry. Well, it's got some good carbonation going on in there. Well, you can definitely smell it right away. Got a good finger of head. Has a really nice, sweet, roasted hops smell. Okay, well, cheers to Neil. It was definitely a fun weekend. Short, but very fun. Probably even shorter for him, considering it was like 20 hours of driving total. Hmm. It has a really nice oakiness to it. Initially brewed to commemorate our 1 year anniversary on January 26, 2013. This high gravity stout was brewed with local maple syrup from nearby Jamestown Township, Michigan. Then it's aged in oak barrels, yeah, you can tell, to lend character and complexity. Share with good friends or keep it all for yourself. Mm. So you get that that those roasted notes up front, but like riding a little wave, like right there with them, is kind of a nice little sweetness, and I'm sure would be the maple syrup. And then immediately right behind that, that's when you start to notice the oak, the barrel, a little bit of a bourbon like flavor with that. For a very dark, like a Imperial Stout, it doesn't have as thick of a mouthfeel as some of them do. I actually like that little bit lighter. Definitely good carbonation. Mm. That is that is very tasty. I'm sure thanks to Neil, the the gentleman that owns White Flame Brewing Company, will hopefully get a chance to see this review. This is very good. I I like this. I like this a lot. You know, to say, maybe if it could be just a little bit thicker, but as far as a mouthfeel goes, but in all honesty, that would kind of put it in a category along with a lot of others I've had, where this kind of has a departure from that, because it has a lighter mouthfeel, but very complex with those flavors. Like I said, you get those roasted malts, and right along with it, you notice that sweetness of the maple syrup. And then right behind that is when you notice that the oak characteristic to it. It almost seems to lead off with almost like a hoppy version of all those flavors kind of blended together. That could be in the beer itself. Maybe some of that could be in the carbonation, but it almost has a little bit of a hoppy characteristic to it. That middle of hockey season, so it's like the Flyers and the Rangers are about to start. My Wild are all tied up, forcing Game 7. Yeah, this is guys over at White Flame Brewing Company. This is some good stuff. Hey Neil, that's gotta be awesome to have a friend that owns a brewery, especially if you can convince him to experiment. First of all, why don't you see if he'll whip you up a batch of oyster stout and then shove it up your ass? Neil was the first person to ever send me an oyster stout, and it was from Bell's, which is, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, I put Bell's way up there. A lot of stuff in their lineup. Just released this year's batch of Oberon, a wheat that I don't really care for wheats, and I would have never classified it as a wheat, but it's a wheat beer. They're yeah, the oyster stout. Yeah, that wasn't that was, of all the things I've ever had from Bell's, that would be the one I didn't like. Maybe you like it if you took a good beer and poured some oyster juice into it, and that's your thing, but me, not so much. Yeah, look at that. Got the old alcohol hanging on. Yeah, that percentage is you notice it a little bit, but it definitely doesn't stand out. And but as far as a JR10 worthy bottle, we are 10.5%, so meeting one of his requirements. Plus, it's actually got a kind of a cool label. I kind of cleared out the cachet of bottles and decided, most of these I can get again and that kind of thing. But I kind of like the way that looks. So probably hang on to that guy. It's good stuff. Alright, well, I might go enjoy some hockey. So you'll want to know where I throw Black Flame Imperial Stout from White Flame Brewing Company. I say this is a 10, and definitely gonna have to talk to Neil, and if you come back for the shoot, you might have to throw a few of these in the old trunk of the Honda. So I don't know what their distribution thing looks like, but if you see this and you like a good Imperial Stout with a lot of characteristic, and so many of them say they got the old bourbon barrel thing going, where this one actually does. Well, I guess it doesn't say bourbon barrels, oak barrels, and you definitely get that oak. I still think you get a subtle bourbon like flavor out of it. So give that a try, and if we meet back here, why don't we look at? Ooh, that'd be a heavy hitter. Maybe not too soon. Not yet on that one.
Why don't we look at something that Steve has sent that we haven't looked at yet? Let's look at something from Samuel Adams.
Let's look at Whitewater IPA from Samuel Adams. 5.8%. I guess I lied about that other one. X hops goes back into the waiting list. So again, thank you very much, Neil and the boys at White Flame Brewing Company. Good job. This is outstanding. And we will see you tomorrow. Like I said, editing and uploading, that one's gonna be a long ass thing, but I'll get that beer wreck of me and Neil. You know, I'm just warning you right now. There's pretty much no legitimate reviewing going on there. It's just, I think we started off with the intention that it would be, but it just kind of all just, everything was going pretty good until he popped open the Booker's there 130 proof whiskey. I still swear everything would have been just fine if we wouldn't have touched that at all. So, okay guys, you have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.